This is the Fit Femmes movement. Have you felt overwhelmed with your fitness journey and feel like you just want to give up? Are you a busy female professional or entrepreneur looking for weight loss and self-care solutions that you can squeeze into your hectic schedule? Then you're in the right place. Let's get inspired to make fitness and healthy living improve rather than consume your life. Together, we'll take major strides towards a happier, healthier, even wealthier you. I'm Julia Hickman, your host and coach.
Hi everyone, Julia here with another episode on the Fit Femmes movement. And today I'm joined by the lovely Carly Bonderud. She's an independent childbirth educator, virtual doula, and birth empowerment coach. And as you guys know, I'm all about fitness and wellness and helping empower women so that they can do amazing things, so that they can really up level to the best versions of themselves. I recently started a new business, a new company as well, but everything that you've heard in this podcast is still super, super relevant because, like I said, I'm all about empowering women and helping them go to that next level, whether it's in their business and their personal lives, having the right support in place for whatever it is that they want to do, whatever it is that they need to accomplish, so that they can feel good. And really feeling good it's a mindset. We choose how we feel. We choose how we wake up every day. Even if we're having a bad day, you can still choose to make it a good day for you. It's all about how you think about it, how you make your decisions, and where you make your decisions from. So I'm very excited to chat with Carly today. Carly, tell us a little bit more about you and about how you started doing the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Carly Bonderud, as I was already introduced, and I do coach women on how to have empowering births. So that's basically a birth where they're the decision maker in their care. My main passion is physiological birth. So natural childbirth is where I really love to focus. And I tend to help moms who have had previously traumatic experiences go on to have these amazing, empowering, natural childbirths that they're like, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe my body is capable of that. And how I really got into this is with my own birth. I wanted to have a natural birth so badly. I was terrified of the hospitals, terrified of needles, and I was like, I think I'm going to have a home birth with my first baby. Easy, right? So I thought, I'm going to hire a midwife, I'm going to hire a doula, I'm going to take the childbirth education classes, I'm going to read all of the books. And in the end, I did get my natural birth, but because I didn't understand how the system works, and I didn't understand that I didn't have the right support, none of my family had done this before. I didn't have any friends who had had natural births the way that I wanted to have mine. So I didn't have that right support dialed in. And I only had a little bit from my doula, because one thing I didn't know was that your doula is not with you every single day coaching you. They're just there for maybe a few prenatal visits and then closer to your due date. So I didn't know any of this. And I ended up getting tricked out of a home birth that I wanted, being told my son wasn't growing properly. Really, my belly was just small. I just carried him differently. He came out 8 pounds. There was nothing wrong with that kid. So at the end, I was just so pissed off because I'm like, hey, I could have had him at home and I didn't get that home birth. And I became an advocate first. For 8 years, I was doing that and I was coaching women. And last year, I suddenly realized that there was a gap between what my friends in the birth communities were saying, that the advocates, the doulas, moms who had had previously traumatic births, the midwives, and what really needed to be taught in mainstream maternity care, because it just wasn't serving us. We were being set up from having a physiological birth to having an intervention, heavily medicalized. The only reason I managed to avoid a C-section was because I was, 1, very stubborn, and 2, I happened to have a midwife who was 2 years away from retirement and did not care if she got in trouble. But that was the only reason that I managed to avoid it in that specific hospital. Now, I don't have time to go into the full 5 pillars of my system today, but there will be a chance to work with me at the end, and I'll get into that. But right now, what I was coming in here to talk to about was the right support. And it's just, you go into your pregnancy and say you're planning this natural birth. You want to have this home birth. You want to avoid the C-section. You want to avoid the induction. But nobody in your family's done it. Most people think, well, the due date's 40 weeks, and if you go over, surely your doctor's not going to let you go over. It's terrifying. You won't have a healthy baby if you do that. So you're getting all of this negativity, and it affects your mindset, and it affects your education. Because if you haven't learned what you actually really need to be seeking out, you're going to take that as the truth. If you have a care provider who's also saying the same thing, oh, well, you're 40 weeks, so we're going to induce. And I've been hearing through the grapevine now that it's actually 39 weeks they're starting to push induction now. It's terrifying. The average gestation is 41 weeks and 3 days for a first-time mom. So you could go to 42 weeks with a perfectly healthy baby, but your care provider's not telling you that. Your doula may not be allowed to tell you that. So having that right support is absolutely crucial. And that's what I do inside of my programs, inside of my community, and with all of the materials that I teach, is I really give that right support. Another thing is the Facebook groups. I call them the mommy shaming groups for a reason. Yeah. You go into these Facebook groups. I mean, you've probably seen this too. You go into these Facebook groups and you say, hey, I really don't want vaginal exams during my pregnancy. Can I say no? And you get a few people say, yeah, you can say no. You can say no to anything. And another one would be like, why would you do that though? Don't you care about your baby? Don't you care? Like, your care provider is doing these for a reason. Obviously, there's a reason for it.
They're doctors, right?
They're doctors. They know. Using the fallacy of the authority, basically saying, well, they're doctors. They know what they're talking about. Well, there's actually a book that I've been reading, Reclaiming Childbirth as a Rite of Passage by Rachel Reed. And it talks about how our maternity care system was basically built on the premise that our bodies are broken and inferior. In fact, I have a bone to pick with Aristotle right now, because he went and said that our bodies are completely inferior to men. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Martin Luther was another one that I've got a real bone to pick. All of these, basically these visionary men who came into the universities and were teaching, all taught the same thing, that our bodies are defective and broken and they don't work properly and we need to optimize them. When the Industrial Revolution came in, same thing. So again, you've got generations and generations of your mothers, your grandmothers, your aunts, your friends, everybody telling you, well, you can't have a natural birth that way. What if something happens? You need a doctor. You need them to check your cervix. You need them to tell you when you can go into labor. You need to have them tell you when to push. You can't do that all on your own. Our bodies were designed for this. So when you have that right support, though, in your corner, this is what happened with a client of mine. It's actually kind of a sad story. I was doing everything I possibly could, but as a virtual doula, of course, I was limited. I couldn't be physically there to push her mother out of the house, but she went into labor. She was doing extremely well. She could not believe the difference between this labor and all of her previous ones where she'd ended up in a C-section. She was so close to the end. She was in transition. Her waters had released. Everything was going great. And her mother walked into the room, freaked out, and called the ambulance and said, you have to go to the hospital right now. You can't have baby at home. You can't do this. You can't labor, because her thing was, I'm going to labor as long as possible and then go in if I need to, or call them here. Her mother flipped out, made her go to the hospital. And of course she went to a hospital with a high C-section rate where they're like, well, you had two previous C-sections. Her second one was with twins, and we're just going to cut you open again. And she ended up with a traumatic birth, but it wasn't her body. that was the problem. It was that with that mother, the wrong support at the absolute crucial moment, even with me being able to be like, you're doing great, you're doing amazing, when she walked into that room and put all that fear,
Right.
everything just went to hell.
And who knows what kind of relationship they've had. So it was probably like an accumulation of stress there that caused her to,
oh yes,
to give into that, right? To be like, oh, wait, maybe I'm not able to do this. Maybe I should listen to what my mother is saying and just go to the hospital.
Oh, she didn't want to listen to her mother, but her mother basically strong-armed her. She said, if you don't call the ambulance, I will. Like she basically took control of something she had no business taking control of. And it was just absolutely devastating what happened. But even after that traumatic experience, within my program, what I do is even after the birth, I'm still there. So I've been able, through the support of myself and another mom that I have been coaching and is also part of my team, we've been basically incubating her from the negativity of her family so that she can still be strong in her empowerment, even after this traumatic experience where she would have been like broken, fallen apart without the support that she had. So that right support is absolutely crucial. And I had the same thing with my second birth. Again, my family was no help, but as a birth advocate, I had kind of built up a friendship base. So I was going through prodromal labor, which is a labor that's stop and start, stop and start. And I was just like, is this baby ever going to come? I'm getting really frustrated. I mean, I knew that I was only 38 weeks. I knew that. And I knew that a cervix is not a crystal ball. I knew that too. And at the same time, I still needed that support around me. So even as a birth worker, if you're like, I got all the birth books, I know everything, you still need that right support because you never know what your kids are going to throw at you, even in utero. And having that right support is crucial. Just a second. The kids say they need water. Oh dear. Oh dear.
So we're about to wrap up anyway, Carly, but I think that's such it's such a strong, powerful story that you shared because I feel like so many people can relate to that, maybe not even in like a birth situation, but just anything where they have somebody in their lives, a family member, a spouse, or a friend who just who has their own insecurities and is trying to like keep them from being the best person that they can be, being like who they want to be. And it's like you said, it's all about having that like third party support, somebody who is, not in your usual circle, somebody who's an expert and who can guide you and who you can, whose advice you can follow and know that you are being empowered, you are being guided well. So it's so important. And for women, we don't have to do things alone. We don't have to, we don't have to do birth alone. We don't have to do anything alone. We have to do business alone. We don't have, there's so many people, so many professionals of all types to help us. So Carly, to wrap up our session here, can you share with us where people can go to connect with you if they want to learn more about your programs? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my son is knocking at the door right now, begging me to give him water. He can't wait even 5 minutes. But yeah, you can go to empoweringmomsbirth.ca and check out my website. And I have a workshop coming up. I was just sharing the right support, which is one of my 5 pillars to empowered birth, but there's actually 5 of them. And I take a deeper dive inside of my workshops. So you can sign up there at empoweringmomsbirth.ca/workshop. And you can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook, again, empoweringmomsbirth.ca or empoweringmomsbirth. And then my email is carly@empoweringmomsbirth.ca for anybody who would like to connect with me, maybe get on a call and see if I can support you.
Awesome, Carly. This is mom life here. The kid is knocking at the door, so we will let him get his water.
Yes, hashtag mom life.
Yep, mom life. That's it. Well, thank you so much for being on with us and sharing all this with us, Carly. And thank you to everybody who's listening. We hope to see you again. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Femmes movement. I would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast, so please leave us a review. And sharing is caring. If you know someone who may benefit from this episode, please share it with them. We need more women up-leveling to their highest selves with grace, courage, and ease. If you'd like to connect with me more and have access to free live trainings and join a community of hundreds of other amazing women, then join my free Facebook group, the Fit Femmes Tribe.